All right, so I've got 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time on my watch. We can go ahead and start to get this thing kicked off. I do want to share the results of our pre-webinar poll here when it comes to the law of diffusion of innovation. Don't ask me to say that 5 times fast, right? But basically, we're curious where you stand when it comes to a new product, new electronic, new DME piece of equipment, whatever it is, where you stand. And it looks like as I broadcast these results, looks like a majority of our audience is in the early majority when it comes to law of diffusion of innovation, followed closely by late majority, then early adopter, then innovator. So maybe not the results I was really hoping for here today, but maybe another goal of ours by the end of this webinar today, we've convinced some of you to be more innovators, specifically when it comes to durable medical equipment hospital beds. So thank you to all of you for getting involved in our pre-webinar poll. We're going to go ahead and get things kicked off. I want to welcome everyone to today's Drive Cares webinar surrounding the launch of the Delta Pro bed system. We know things are crazy out there today, and it means really so much to us that you all took the time to join us today. So thank you to you all for that. As far as what's to come over the course of the next 45 minutes or so, we've got 2 director level speakers that will be presenting today. We've got plenty of interactivity to keep everybody engaged, a helpful video tutorial, and much, much, much more. From a housekeeping perspective, in order to ensure everyone has the best experience possible, please keep Dave Purdy in mind for assistance. Please chat Dave using the Adobe Connect chat pod or email him. You can find his information in the note pod below the slide deck here today if you're having any issues seeing the slides or hearing any of the presenters. Also, understand that all of our participants are in listen-only mode, so no need to mute yourself. However, as promised, this will be a very interactive webinar, and you can always communicate with us at any time, questions, comments, feedback using the chat pod on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, since we've got a very large audience today, super excited, I want to make sure everyone understands what these webinars delivered by Drive are all about. Last year, we created a series of webinars as part of the Drive Cares initiative. Now, the Drive Cares program is all about driving us forward, no matter what attempts to hold us back, like a lingering pandemic, for example. So let's get introductions out of the way. The voice you're hearing now, that's me, Eddie Faber. I'm the Senior National Sales Trainer here at Drive to Vilbus Healthcare. Prior to joining the training team, I was a sales rep for Drive, covering the beautiful Rocky Mountain territory. Live right here in beautiful Denver, Colorado, and I've got about 10 years of combined DME experience, both on the provider side, independent small provider in Illinois, south side of Chicago, and obviously here on the manufacturing side with Drive. Now, I am super excited to introduce our 2 main speakers today, Rayna Brown and Adam Rankin, and I am proud to say that I've worked with both Rayna and Adam as a sales rep for Drive and a trainer here, and have absorbed just a ton of knowledge from them along the way. We'll hear from Rayna and Adam in just a moment, but a little background on Rayna, Director of Product Management. Got about 6 years as a founding member of Drive's product management team focused on pressure prevention and home care / long-term care beds. She got 17 years sales and marketing professional focused on business strategy planning and on the product development side. Super excited to have Rayna on here, more specifically when we actually get to the Delta Pro bed information. The other speaker here today, Adam Rankin, super excited to have Adam, Director of Corporate Accounts, on the call today. 7-year former territory business manager covering the Northeast Territory. And he's going to bring a ton of insight today as he's a frequent collaborator with AA Home Care. His goal has really been to increase membership and drive efforts from a lobby, Capitol Hill standpoint. So super excited to hear from Rayna and Adam in just a moment. Our single objective we have for our audience today is to understand the why behind the Delta Pro system as far as why it's been introduced in the market today. So we'll answer that question. We'll stick to this straightforward agenda to help us ensure we'll accomplish our objective. We'll take a look at the state of our industry. Adam's going to help there with all the insight he brings. And obviously, Rayna from a product management side will introduce the Delta Pro system. And we'll bring Adam back on for some additional opportunities for home care bed revenue since we're on that topic today. And we made that promise. We'll have Adam round things out with additional opportunities for home care bed revenue. Let's not waste any more time and get right into it here. Now, we are very aware that there are no shortage of challenges for our audience when it comes to ordering or prescribing durable medical equipment like home care beds. Now, what we've been hearing from our nationwide inside and outside sales force is that patient complaints and readmissions are keeping everybody on this call up at night. However, we're curious if you're all in agreement here, so we're not going to waste any time to open it up for yet another poll here. And we're curious from your perspective, we share what we're hearing out there, but from our audience perspective, what are you seeing as your biggest challenge or obstacle when it comes to your hospital bed operation? Are low reimbursements continuing to keep you up at night? Is it limited inventory space? Potentially lack of revenue opportunities? I know home care beds were hit hard by competitive bidding. A lot of providers feel they are just a lost leader category. How about short rental periods? Are you picking up, delivering beds, weeks apart, days apart? That's not any fun. Tech shortages, just staffing shortages in general, hard to find. We'll talk a little bit about that today. Or product part availability. If it's something else, we're certainly curious. Let us know in the chat pod there. I will go ahead and share these results now. And it looks like no real huge surprises here. Low reimbursements, number one, followed by, it looks like, product and parts availability in second place there. So we'll continue to share and broadcast all of these polls as just extra insight to see what your peers are thinking. So thank you to our audience there for participating in that poll. Now, we get it. We understand that you are all under more pressure than ever before to effectively operate your bed business while juggling low reimbursements and product availability. Now, most providers go about this, at least as far as solving this challenge, in part by focusing on price alone when it comes to their home care bed business. And it makes sense because any provider has got to be aware of their upfront costs in order to keep their doors open. However, what we fail to realize is focusing on price alone is not going to help us to manage any of these challenges, nor improve really your overall home care bed operation, making us feel like we're stuck fighting an uphill battle. Now, knowing you've got a large audience of providers here today, I'm sure we are all eager to understand what the solutions to these challenges are, at least what we think they are. And we will get to what we believe is part of the solution today. But first, let's hear Adam Rankin break down these challenges even further to ensure we understand what the landscape will continue to look like if we continue to take the same old approach. Adam?
Thanks so much, Eddie. There are a number of headwinds facing suppliers and manufacturers today. And in my travels around the country, working with providers, small and large, one fact is consistently evident. Drive could literally give away certain products for free, and providers would still lose money based on the way they navigate static and reduced fee schedules and a lack of focus on educating referral sources. Those referral sources who often don't script for equipment that patients would certainly qualify for. But let's start by looking at the impact competitive bidding had on our industry. 40% fewer providers over the last decade plus. Why? Well, maybe they didn't bid low enough initially. They weren't awarded a Medicare bid, and the lack of diversification led to either going up for sale or closing their doors. Or maybe they did bid low enough to win a bid, but the workload never made sense relative to the reimbursement. It wasn't sustainable then, it's certainly not sustainable today, and we see more people than ever who are up for sale or who are frankly running themselves ragged and eventually out of business. But what we really have to ask ourselves is what the bottom of the barrel is for rates as MCOs and private payers mirror and even dip below Medicare fee schedules. Medicare hit the pause button on the 2021 round of competitive bidding because bids did not achieve expected savings. In other words, bids came in higher than what CMS was willing to pay. So while suppliers put in bolder bids that would have allowed them to remain profitable and to operate and deliver great patient service, Medicare said no. How many more providers will say that there is no viable path forward? And it's not just closures. In my role, I frequently listen in on earnings calls of the largest players in the industry, and everyone touches on mergers and acquisitions. Everyone on this call has probably seen their local supplier network shrink in recent years. So let's take a poll to see how prevalent M&A has been in your areas. So thinking about the last couple of years, how many mergers or acquisitions are you aware of? One, two, three, four more? Go ahead and put your response there. And while you're doing that, I was in a conversation with one of the other directors on my team, and we counted 29 acquisitions since January 1st of this year for the accounts that we work with. 29. Stunning. All right, Ed, if you want to go ahead and broadcast those results, what we will see is that the majority of people on this call have seen three or four or more acquisitions or mergers in their area just over the last few years. Appreciate that, Eddie. And appreciate everyone for putting in their responses. So let's talk about what impact that's had on our industry. Lack of access to care and equipment is a frightening yet true reflection of where we are as an industry. Last week, Steve Waxer, who's the vice president of sales at Drive, and I were both part of virtual meetings with members of Congress. And access to care is the one thing that made every staffer pay attention when we presented numerous reasons for why fee schedules must change. CMS and Congress may not care that owners aren't pulling in profit margins like they were 40 years ago, but they absolutely care that grandma, who has been paying into the system for decades, can't find a provider willing to take out a walker. And the community of potential customers is set to grow, which is one of the reasons why private equity continues to pour money into acquisitions. Potential patients and customers, specifically Americans aged 65 and older, is projected to almost double from 52 million in 2018 to 95 million by 2060. In addition to the increase in patient population, those aged 65 and older who have a higher chance of having a chronic condition. In fact, almost half of Americans have at least one chronic condition, with a quarter of adults having at least two. Last year, the spread of COVID-19 forced many patients to leave long-term care facilities to move in with relatives and caregivers, some of which had to move quickly to find bathroom safety equipment like grab bars and to look for short-term hospital bed options that became long-term. In fact, a recent American Advisors Group survey reported that 50% of seniors aged 60 to 75 said that COVID-19 made their desire to live at home stronger. 83% said that they feel safer at home than anywhere else. Certainly, many industry analysts believe that the home will continue to be seen as a valuable option and even preferred clinical setting for many seniors who prefer to age in place. Rayna, you attended the HME News Business Summit last month. I believe this was discussed?
Yeah, that's right, Adam. COVID, we know, has definitely accelerated the shift to home care recovery, and it's important that we really be at the forefront of it. The HME News Business Summit shared a series of webinars last month, and one of them discussed this very trend. As the aging population increases, comorbidities increase, the need for supplies to assist with home care recoveries increases. DME providers are critical to this process and already, in most cases, have the best access to the patients. So I think who better than to lead the charge on home care recovery than DME providers? Don't you agree, Adam?
Absolutely. I get calls all the time from providers, large and small, who are very concerned about the convenient one-click buying and free shipping that e-commerce offers. In fact, e-commerce saw huge gains in 2020 and into this year for medical products. And this only reinforces the fact that our traditional home care industry must continue to reinvent itself and become much more. You all on this call spend hours getting the documentation right, sending out the service tech into the home, the preferred setting to age in place, and we must get better at making cross sells and doing more up caring along the patient's journey. We must train our staff to do more and ask more questions. But finding staff, let alone the right staff, is tough. With most industries coming back online earlier this year, the job market turned on its head. In March, the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics reported an all-time high of 8.1 million job openings, with 43% of small businesses around the country having such openings. And in the June HME News survey, 90% of respondents reported difficulty hiring staff, specifically warehouse technicians and CSRs. They're all demanding more money. What economists call the reservation wage for people without a college degree. That's the lowest pay people are willing to accept to take a job. It rose 26% from March 2020 to March 2021. That's confirmed by the HME News poll, which found 72% of HMEs say it's most difficult to hire entry-level CSRs. And we feel your pain. Every time a new warehouse opens in the area where we have distribution centers, the ads go up, all offering at least $1 extra per hour. The laborers are just asked to bring in their pay stubs, and boom, overnight we have turnover. We're susceptible to it, and we certainly know the cost of retention versus hiring and training new staff. So, to take a pause for a second, we've discussed opportunities with a growing patient base that increasingly prefers to age in place and internal threats like staffing, but it doesn't end there with COVID-19 related hurdles. Take a look at the poll on your screen and mark which COVID-related external challenge concerns you the most today. Is it product availability, surcharges and price increases, static Medicare reimbursements that don't mirror reality, MCOs, the wild, wild west of insurances that pay sometimes less than Medicare, or is it other? And if so, please list that in the chat. All right, responses are coming in quickly. Eddie, if you could go ahead and broadcast the results. Thank you. Rayna, you've brought a few new products, including the Delta Pro, to market this year. Let's discuss with the audience what that experience has been like in this roller coaster of a year so far, thinking about what our respondents have marked here as their top challenges.
Yeah, there's no surprises real here on our audience's challenge of product availability, and for sure that's impacted our ability for new product development. But over the course of the last 18 months, I personally have received numerous commodities increases. The freight increases continue. Our manufacturer capacity is constrained. Logistical capacity constraints that we all know about. All of this rolls up to costs of goods that are anywhere from 25 to 200+% higher than previously. I mean, steel, for example, has hit record highs, and some reports show even up to 215% increase on that raw good. I mean, this affects every aspect of the supply chain, and everyone along the vertical is impacted. So, Adam, what do you think our overall synopsis here is?
Well, to recap so far, we know there's money to be had and there's business to be had, I should say, and certainly money to be made. But thriving can be a tall task. And I just want to address something that was in the chat pod a second ago about a particular fee schedule. And I hear about that all the time. I have providers send me the fee schedule for what third-party insurances are paying, and it is wild to see what some of the rates, like the TRICARES and the UCHs of the world, are giving to providers. And so at some point, we all have to ask ourselves and look in the mirror and wonder what, again, that pathway forward looks like. And that's what we're going to be talking about for the rest of this webinar, because that question exists for everyone. Are you up for the challenge? If you're going to make it work during the current pandemic and afterwards, it's going to require some change. So Eddie, let's be honest about the choice our providers have when it comes to their home care bed operation specifically.
You got it, Adam, and thank you for reflecting on some of our chat messages there. Good stuff, guys. Keep it coming in the chat pod. Adam, I think the truth is, if we continue to focus mainly on price alone when it comes to DME like hospital beds, or maybe just settling on what's worked for us in the past, well, we're going to continue to struggle with providing DME like hospital beds. Adam, you did a great job summarizing these challenges, and I'm confident our audience is tired of dealing with, and certainly tired of warehouses looking like this, right? Unorganized, mismatched equipment, parts and pieces that can't be utilized, et cetera, et cetera. And at this point, we're hoping you're ready for a new way forward. And Drive is confident we know what that road ahead looks like. That road ahead looks like a true partnership between manufacturer and provider, where we work together to create products that are more versatile and work for more patients, easier and faster to set up and train employees, where parts are more compatible and easier to source, so that we can continue doing what we love, taking care of our patients today and well into the future. Our Director of Product Management is going to get more specific as to what this looks like with home care beds as we introduce the new Delta Pro Bed system by Drive. Rayna?
Thanks, Eddie. I'm extremely grateful and very excited for the opportunity to share with you all the new Delta Pro bed system by Drive. But before I go into the details, I just want to share with you our logic for the bed's name. You're surely familiar with our Delta Ultralight Game Changer bed. That bed changed the way the industry managed home care beds in the market. We wanted to broaden the significance of that trademark Delta brand since we're doing it again. Delta because this time our game-changing effect will be more epic than before, and Pro because we want this system to be the go-to bed for DME professionals, those who are actively involved and serious about growing their bed operations, and those who are ready to take back the home care equipment market. Before I go on, I hope to gain some credibility by reminding you of our history at Drive and some of the impacts that we've had in the past in response to market conditions. Recall the days when multiple motor assembly was challenging? Drive responded by introducing the simple dual snap-on motor. How about when the first Game Changer Delta bed was introduced? Having the ability to utilize multiple bed ends on differing bed frames was an advantage, and Drive was proud to be a part of that solution. Competitive bidding, we know how that changed our industry significantly. Our response was the Competitor 2 bed series, giving you the opportunity to stay in the game. Earlier, Adam talked about employee challenges, and Drive responded earlier this month, introducing new lightweight bariatric beds. This is our efforts to address delivering and storing cumbersome heavy beds that require multiple technicians. With new lightweight beds, delivery is more manageable. And finally, today we've reviewed space constraints and the importance of effective inventory. And our solution today is to present to you the Delta Pro bed system. All of these products, introductions, or enhancements are part of our commitment to truly partner with you, our provider customers. We want to help navigate through the ever-changing environments that we work in, and we believe that our partnership should be at the forefront of the movement towards patients recovering in a home care setting. So let's just throw one more poll up there because I'm curious. In your opinion, which of these innovations had the greatest impact in your bed operation? Was it the snap-on motor? Was it the first Game Changer? Perhaps it was the Competitor bed series? And don't worry, I won't be offended if it was totally something else. Please put in other and share that with us as well.
Looks like we do have someone brave enough, Rayna, that selected the other option. We're certainly curious what that other game-changing feature was, so if you want to share it with us, that would be great. Rayna, you good with me sharing the broadcasting the results?
Yep, you can go ahead and broadcast. So it looks like we've got a nice split between the original Delta and our Competitor 2 bed as well. So there's definitely some product innovations there that everyone has appreciated, and Drive is most certainly glad to have been a part of that. So thank you for putting in those answers. And if anyone catches that other in there, I'm definitely curious to see what that was. So without further ado, let's go get into the details of the Delta Pro. The Delta Pro bed system is essentially the next generation of home care beds wrapped into one inventory efficient system. We talked about diverse patient populations, shrinking inventory space, and all the global supply constraints we're dealing with. It's more critical than ever now for DME providers to have smarter and more impactful inventory. So how do we offer more products with smaller inventory space? Well, by offering one universal bed frame that can be interchanged with 9 individual components to create 6 unique beds. What do all those numbers mean to you? It means that you can offer multiple bed configurations when you need them and service more patients without stocking multiple complete beds. Let me give you some of the details. By utilizing the standard Delta Pro bed frame, providers can simply carry less full beds. The universal frame can be paired with bed ends based on your patient's requirements, either standard height or low height. So let's say, for example, your patient requires a standard height semi-electric bed. Simply select the standard set of bed ends and a dual motor component, and you've built your own semi-electric bed. It's that easy. So now let's say your next patient requires a low height full electric bed with linear style motors. No need to purchase an entire full electric low bed. Simply swap out your standard bed ends for low height bed ends, change your single motor component to your linear motor components, and without any tools, you've converted a semi-electric bed to a full electric low bed. The magic really happens when you interchange the components to suit your needs. But rather than continuing to explain, I would really love to show you a quick snippet of our Delta Pro assembly video to show you just how easy these transitions are made. Eddie, can you tee up the video for us?
Sure will, Rayna. Just a heads up to our audience, everybody obviously has different bandwidths based on their internet speed. So I'm going to play this through and probably pause for 10 to 15 seconds just to make sure everybody sees the full video. So if you're one with the fast internet, just sit tight and we will allow everyone to have a good experience with the video and we'll bring it back.
Be sure to unplug and remove any installed motors from the frame before proceeding with the new configuration. Slide the motor covers off and pull down to detach the motor. Remove the drive shaft prior to a new motor installation. To secure the high-low motor to the head frame assembly, attach the motor bracket to the 2 holes in the center of the frame using the twisting knobs. Attach the head actuator bar to the frame by inserting the provided pin into the hole and securing it with the pin clasp. Connect the head actuator bar to the head motor with the corresponding pin. Attach the head motor and control box to the bracket on the foot frame by aligning the motor and frame holes. Secure the motor in place using the bracket's spring twist knobs, twisting them 90 degrees. Attach the foot actuator bar to the bed frame in the same fashion and secure the foot motor to the bracket on the foot frame. Secure the motor in place using the bracket's spring twist knobs. Use the color-coded wire guides to plug each motor component into the main control box. Attach the main power cord to the control box. Attach the drive shaft by connecting to the pin of the high-low motor, then to the pin on that bed end. Next, install the protective metal rod across the foot frame. Do this directly over the motors and secure with the provided twisting knobs.
All right. Hopefully, Rayna and Adam, everybody had a great experience watching that video. I know when you've got 100 people on a webinar, I get a little concerned about video, but hopefully, again, everybody had an awesome experience and was able to see that conversion via video. Back to you, Rayna.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie. Hopefully everyone was able to enjoy that, but we'll also have it available after as well. And this is just one of the transitions that are available with the Delta Pro bed system. That same frame that you saw can provide you 5 other bed options. So think about what this means for inventory efficiency for a second. So what we're hearing most is that home care beds take up the majority of warehouse space. What does that cost per square footage look like for you? Imagine instead of having a row of full electric beds and a row of semi-electric beds and a row of low electric beds, that you just have a row of one universal Delta Pro bed frame and then a section for bed ends and motors. Use only what you need when you need it. Have you ever been presented with a referral that you couldn't accept because you didn't have the right bed configuration available? With the Delta Pro bed system, you have all the options at your fingertips and utilizing less warehouse space to do so. I really wish I had time to go into all of the configurations with you, but hopefully you're at least interested enough to contact your local TBM for a full Delta Pro demonstration. So I know we have a large audience here, but at this point in time, I would like to open up the forum to some questions. And I encourage you to please put them in the chat box. And I'll ask Eddie if you could just please assist me with the visibility of the questions as they come in, and we'll do our best to try to answer as many questions as anyone has regarding the bed itself. Any questions from our
You
audience?
got it, Rayna.
Thanks, Eddie.
I am watching the chat pod here. Robert's got our first question here. Rayna, what type of warranty does the Delta Pro bed system come with?
Yep, so this does come with our standard home care bed warranty, 5 years on our 5 years on our motor and hand controls, limited lifetime on welds and frames, and 1 year on any other accessory components.
Love that warranty, Rayna. Industry best on the hand control and the motor, 5 years. A lot of peace of mind. I know that's important to our provider partners. What other questions do we have related to the Delta Pro bed system? Joshua, thank you for your question. Will there be easy ordering configurations? Example, an easy order for standard semi-electric bed with half rail package. Rayna?
Yeah, so we tried our best to give you the options that would work well for you, and you can do it 2 ways. We have bed kits available. We've set up bed kit part numbers, so that would include, a kit for a semi-electric with a standard motor, a kit for a full electric with a low bed end. Generally, those 6 configurations that I mentioned are available to order as a kit. Or you can order all 9 components of the system and have them at your disposal for how you need to choose them. At this time, the rails will be a la carte, but we'll work on building some kits out that will include rails down the road.
Thank you, Rayna. I think we answered Joshua's question. Here's one from Nick. What is the suggested way to track inventory on these beds in our systems? Change it every time we use a different configuration? Do we have other suggestions?
So I'm not sure I follow exactly what you mean by ordering by the kit number, or I'm not sure I understand that one, Eddie, but maybe you can help me out with that one.
I would imagine you're asking for serial numbers. I would use the one on the frame itself and track that from an inventory standpoint.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Adam, anything to add there based on Nick's question? If you want to clarify, Nick, if we're not on the right page, let us know.
Yeah, so he looks like he put a follow-up question here. It's related to billing the different kinds of beds. And I think that absolutely, I concur with you, Eddie, that I would use the serial number on the frame for inventory, but also the serial number on the motors as well. Knowing that a semi-electric motor is going to be associated with one HCPC billing code versus full electric motors, which you may have some third-party payers that would reimburse for a full electric option. So to use the serial numbers, I think is, yeah, absolutely the right play there.
Okay, and
Okay.
I can also add, Eddie, that the kits themselves are coded based on the bed configuration. So if you were to use that kit part number for the billing for that semi-electric, for example, that is HCPC coded.
Excellent. Got some options there. We like options. Robert's curious here, are these the snap-on motors that we currently use? Same snap-on?
So they're not the actual identical motor, but it is the same design. But they are different part
So
numbers.
different part numbers, but it will work.
Mhm.
Great. Brian, how accessible are the parts? Have there been any issues with the bolt-on high-low motor coming loose? Are all rails currently offered by Drive compatible? Some good questions there from Brian. What we got, Rayna?
Yep, so no issues, knock on wood so far on anything falling or any kind of issues with assembly of the high-low. The bed itself, the Delta Pro, is its design was based similar off of our competitor 2 design. So what you'll find is that our competitor 2 rails are compatible. There's that similar slat deck design, and the competitor 2 rails are the identical rails to be used with the Delta Pro. So if you're currently using competitor 2 bed rails, you can go ahead and use them on the Delta Pro. Our other bed rails are not compatible with the bed, but I can probably share that I am working on a universal home care bed rail that I hope I can use across our entire fleet. So
Great.
more to come on that.
Okay, here's from Joseph. Appreciate all the questions from our audience. We'll get to all of these. We built in some extra time here. So do we have any PDFs with the part numbers for the individual components, Rayna?
Yep, so all of the part numbers for all of the components, all the kits, and even a color-coded chart that will help you identify which components go with which kit is all found in the user manual. You also should have received an email that explained to you the launch and will lead you to a Delta Pro landing page. If you're not familiar with that, we can go ahead and get that for you as well, and that will also share with you all of the part numbers and components used.
Yep, very easy color-coded system there for ordering. Joseph, if you're not familiar on where to get that, you can email me. I'll get it to you. I'm going to share our information in just a moment. Question here from Bart. The most innovative feature on the competitor 1 bed was the welded trapeze support attached to the side of the frame made trapeze delivery setup much better. Does the Pro have this feature? If not, Bart definitely feels that it should.
Thanks for that information, Bart. At this time, it does not. We're utilizing the competitor 2 style accessories that work with the design of the Delta Pro, but I will take that note and make a note of that. Thank you.
It's the beauty of having a product manager on a webinar is this feedback goes straight to the source here, Bart, and if it can be done, it will be done. Here's one from Aaron. Will the bed ends and or frame sections work with the current Delta Ultralight bed end spring sections? And are half and full rails for ultralight compatible? We currently have a huge rental fleet of ultralight beds, both semi and full. So I know this is a concern of our providers that have already invested in the original Delta. Rayna, what answer do you have for Aaron?
Yeah, so this has come up a lot, and I definitely understand the challenges of having a fleet already in place. Unfortunately, the Delta Pro is not compatible with the bed ends and spring sections of our current fleet, but we do understand that has to be sort of worked through. And at this time, like I said, we've tried to work on some compatibility, but because we've modeled the competitor 2 frame, it does not work with our current Delta Ultralight frame.
Yeah, valid concern there from Aaron. Aaron, different strategies for a provider with that concern. I'd encourage you to reach out to your local TBM sales rep. All of our reps have been trained on this product and strategies for providers just like yourself that already have inventories. And I encourage you, Aaron, to reach out to your local rep. Calvin here, what is the total weight of the bed? Do we know that, Rayna?
Oh gosh, that's let's see. I don't know if I know that one off the top of my head. Um, I'll have to circle back on that one. On the top of my head, I don't, but I know it is a lightweight frame and similar to, like I said, to our current competitor too. So the actual number itself, I don't recall off the top of my head.
Okay, maybe we can circle back there, Rayna. Um, I know this one here is from Ken. This item is registered as HICPIC covered and approved through Palmetto GBA, correct, Rayna?
That is correct. And that is by the kit configuration. So for example, if you wanted the Delta Pro standard height dual motor semi-electric, that particular kit number is coded for a semi-electric bed.
Sweet. Couple more questions here, guys. Appreciate your patience getting through all of these. Andy Patterson, was a single bed end one with a greater range of travel that would accommodate low and standard height beds considered? I gotta believe it was, Rayna.
Yeah, I mean, we went through different design phases and some testing protocol. Ultimately, we opted for the two different bed end choices because of trying to make sure that all configurations would be acceptable and that would work through our testing protocol. So we kept it at both options.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I can
And,
tell
and
you,
just to
Andy, and the rest of the group that a lot of time put into this. We're talking years and years. We've thought through these concerns. We appreciate hearing them, but it just was not possible to standardize on, along with the one frame, one set of bed ends. So you got to have two, right, Rayna?
That's correct. And just a quick follow-up there, I looked up that question for you. So the actual bed product weight itself is anywhere from 148 pounds to 165 pounds, depending on the configuration.
Mm-hmm. And just to confirm one more time here for Jeff and the rest of the audience, what current rails will work with this bed? Competitor 2 rails, anything else?
At this time, the competitor 2 rails until I can successfully develop a universal rail.
Okay. Challenge accepted there, Rayna.
That's right.
Aaron, what is the patient weight capacity here?
So for your current Delta Pro, you're going to have your similar weight capacity to our current semi-electrics, 250 pounds. Um, sorry, 400, sorry, 450 pounds safe working load. So that includes your occupant mattress and any accessories that you'd add to that. So it's 450.
Great. All right, Rain, I think we've got all the questions addressed. I want to thank the audience here for making us feel like we're not alone and sharing these questions with us. So thank you for that. Rain, I'll give you an opportunity to pass it over to Adam.
Yeah, I thank you so much for all of that engagement and some of those ideas and things that I know that you're thinking about so that now I can take back and think about as well as we continue product evolution here. So thank you all for the engagement and all the great questions. I do appreciate the opportunity to be able to share this very important product launch with you. It's definitely a labor of love for me and for the company. So feel free to please utilize the contact information that's provided at the end of the webinar to reach out to me directly if you'd like with any additional questions you may have. And on that, I'll sign off and invite Adam to join us one more time to share some additional things to consider regarding your home care bed operation. Thank you.
All right, appreciate that, Rayna. And certainly, again, thank you for all the questions that have been asked over the past few minutes. What I'm really the most excited about when it comes to Drive is that we are a company that frequently collaborates with our providers to figure out what it is that they're looking for. And I believe, just like Rayna, that truly the Delta Pro is the next game changer from Drive for a number of the reasons that Rayna discussed. And we absolutely believe there are efficiencies to obtain via warehouse space savings, SKU consolidation, and potentially even some acquisition savings. Think about your retail floor. You most likely have a bed on display for purchase or rental, but which one? The semi, the full low? What if you had a Delta Pro and could show someone the differences in minutes? How many more retail customers could you upcare? from the economy semi to the caregiver-friendly full, to the most friendly safety-focused full electric low bed. And for insurance deliveries, picture your delivery tech inside the house doing a semi-electric bed setup, and after he walks the patient through how to use the hand control, the patient is concerned about the hand crank or having a bed so high off the ground. If you had the Delta Pro, he could call in and your CSR could start the process of doing an advanced beneficiary notice. We've spent the last few months with providers seeking to understand this key driver of incremental revenue, one you may already be using on otherwise loss leader product categories like roll leaders. Utilized by most suppliers in some way, shape, or form to capture money on day one, an ABN can be deployed when you have a patient who may be looking for an upgraded option that may lead to lower risk of injury or simply just for convenience. So we're going to do one more poll here, and I'd like to understand, what is your level of using ABNs currently? Do you have relatively little knowledge about ABNs? Are you somewhat comfortable using them? Are you very comfortable using them? You're always looking for and having that conversation with the patient about what might be possible through an ABN. So we'll give you guys just a couple seconds there to do that one. All right, Eddie, if you could go ahead and broadcast the results. I am excited to see that most people on this call are somewhat or very comfortable with ABNs. Appreciate that, Eddie. And I know there are some people on this call who are thinking that they don't want their driver inside the house for an extra 20 minutes. But what if you could break even on beds in month 3 instead of month 6? In our conversations, the range runs wide in what process and pay parameters are in place with ABNs. But the truth is that many owners I've spoke with recognize that without an ABN, doing a semi-electric with innerspring alone won't pay the bills. And so I think that, again, while I would love to spend more time right now with you sharing best practices throughout the industry, we're running a little bit low on time, but I want to emphasize to everyone on this call, please reach out to your Drive sales rep for more information on ABNs and about how we can help you optimize your home care bed operation. Let us share additional ABN best practices that you may be able to implement, or cross-selling strategies, or bed support service programs that are equal parts focused on better patient outcomes and ultimately a healthier bottom line. We want you to thrive. Drive has been the preferred manufacturer partner for years because we present ideas and products to meet challenges. Think about everything that Rayna walked you through on the timeline of the bed evolution, the competitor bed, the recently launched lightweight bariatric bed. It's the first time you'll be able to send out one driver to do a bariatric bed setup. No other manufacturer comes as frequently as we do with these types of new products and innovations. Global market factors have forced our hand when it comes to raising prices and temporary surcharges, but we can assure you that there is money on the table and we want to help you capture it. Eddie?
Well, great job to Adam and Rayna. That was an exciting one. We hope our audience is just as excited for what the road ahead can look like. And maybe we've even convinced some of you to become more innovators or early adopters of the Delta Pro bed system when it comes to that law of diffusion of innovation we looked at earlier. Now, I know Drive is ready to take our provider partnership to the next level, where we utilize innovative equipment and new programs that can create a more sustainable future for everyone involved. If we all embrace this road ahead, we'll be positioned to lead the shift we're already seeing of more care taking place in the home. I promised we'd share all of our contact info. Here's Rayna, Adam, and my contact info, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Perhaps we've encouraged you to want to know who your local Drive sales rep is for further support. If that's the case, please email me with your location. I'll be happy to reply with your local rep and have them reach out to you for assistance. Now, we always know there's a lot of room for improvement when it comes to the content we choose and how it's presented. In order for us to continue delivering the highest quality content, we need to hear about your experience. And in a moment, everyone will automatically be taken to a brief survey to help us do exactly that. Please take a moment to let us know exactly how we did. For Rayna Brown and Adam Rankin, and for myself, Eddie Faber, I want to thank everyone for taking time out of their busy day to join us today and being such an engaged group. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and let's all look to make an impact in our bed operation with the new Delta Pro system by Drive. Sherry, you can officially end our session and take everyone to the short survey now.